welcome back. We have a super interesting session on the Tamedia Youth Initiative. So in the past session, we had Roger as a representative of the young generation, but we actually have some real young people in the studio today. And they are quite exceptional because they are not currently on their phone. So we are very excited to talk to them. First of all, we'll go through a bit of roundtable of introduction. Can each of you introduce yourself and explain what you do in the TX group, or if you're one of the representative of the young, where you are in your journey to becoming an adult. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But, if you're studying or things like that. So let's start with you.
We start with the old people, no?
Yes. Okay. Not so old. Sorry, I'm the old. And gosh, there's no way to win this battle.
So my name is Sandra Cortesi. I am an academic. I am the director of the Youth and Media Project, which is a research project based at a center at Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
My name is Jannik. Well, my turn is a little bit more boring. I'm still at school and a participant of the Youth Lab here at Tamedia.
Yeah, I'm Lena Madonna. I'm also a student and I'm currently also a member of the Youth Lab. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Katharina Graf. I'm head of blogs at Tamedia, so responsible for the blog section in our newspapers. And currently I'm also project manager of the Youth Lab, so that's why I'm here.
Okay. And don't ever say that it's boring to be in school, because everybody in the studio would like to be in your place.
Yes. Sorry.
So, Sandra, I think we're off to a great start, you and I. So, maybe let's talk about the Tamedia Youth Initiative. So, it is something that already happened last year with 20 Minuten, correct? And at the moment, it's with Tages and Zeiger and Tamedia. So, can you explain a little bit what it is? Because I'm sure a lot of people who are tuning in are not aware of this youth initiative and would like to know more.
Of course. So the Youth Lab, as it is called, this is the second we're doing, as you just mentioned. Pre-COVID, actually, we did the first one, is the result of multiple conversations, particularly between me and Pietro Supino, then later joined by Marco Boselli. Essentially with the core question, what is TX's role in 2021 as we see the world struggling with big questions around climate change, failures of democracy, just to name a few. So what is the role of such probably the most important media company in Switzerland? On one hand, what kind of partnership can you build with the future generation of your users? And on the other hand, what kind of formats allow for mutual learning, so you learn what's going on in the world of young people, and you can possibly also convey your own skills and your own knowledge to this generation, and in that sense really enter into a partnership. At the very core, the Youth Lab idea is basically also something we study at Youth and Media at Harvard, trying to understand what kind of models or formats allow companies, governments, and other organizations to really enhance youth participation. Could be in product design, but also at the strategic level. So how do you create initiatives or visions for the future that really involve young people into these debates, rather than just presenting a final product that then they can see if they like it or not.
Okay. And so we have two representatives from this project, but how many participants, how many young people are participating in this project?
We've now a group of 30 people.
30 people?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell us, how did you choose the participants to participate in the Youth Lab?
It was actually quite a big application process. So we looked for interested people in all over Switzerland, like Lena is from Bern, Jannik is from St. Gallen, for example. And they had to apply with a 2-minute video, and the response was very high actually. And we this was great, but then we had to choose from over 80 applicants.
Okay.
That was hard, but for us it was very important to have as mixed a group as possible, because we think that's crucial when it comes to creating new and creative ideas. That's what we do in the Youth Lab. So we selected them along different criteria. For example, we didn't just only want to have future journalists, like people who really read traditional newspapers. We also wanted to have people who think that Tagesanzeiger is quite boring and irrelevant to them, so they only read news online on social media. And we also wanted to have people with different skills, like acting, drawing, making creative stuff, which makes our workshops very interesting, I think.
So you try to really have as diverse of a snapshot of the young generation as you could possibly have. And I'd be interesting to hear from Jannik and Lena, which one of the two of you thought that Tagesanzeiger was boring? No. No, actually. So how did you hear about this initiative and what motivated you to apply? So let's start with you, Lena.
So for me, it was actually rather a coincidence that I stumbled upon the Youth Lab. My mom sent the link to the website only a week before the application was due. So I went on the website and I read the first sentences explaining the Youth Lab, and I got really invested in the idea of being able to communicate my own perception of the use of media with other people, especially people at my age. And I thought to myself, this is a great chance to help create the newspaper of the future, of our future. Yeah. Great.
Do you read newspaper? I mean, probably you do now. But when your mom sent you the project, was it part of your habit to read newspapers?
Actually, it wasn't. I mean, I tried to. Like my parents, for example, or I take my parents as an example, but I didn't have the time or the motivation to do it, and now I try to read the Tagesanzeiger occasionally for as much as I can. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Jannik? How did you come across the project and what motivated you?
Well, I was already there the last time when 20 minutes was was in the hot time. But well, my motivation was just it was actually, there were two things that really motivated me. Once, I'm interested in media, and this is one of the biggest media companies in Switzerland. So I thought I could learn a great deal from all those professionals, learning new skills, meeting interesting people, stuff like that. And on the other hand, I'm just really thinking of how can media transport the news that they have into our generation, into our world. And I just wanted to help, and I think with the Youth Lab, they really listen to us youths, and we can really have an impact, really help bringing the news to all of the youths in Switzerland, and I think that's pretty important task to do.
Yeah. Okay, it's pretty clear. So you wanted to get experience and also give feedback. Mm-hmm. Lena, you want to build a newspaper of the future. What other impacts do you think this project is having, either on the company, or what do you think it can have in general?
Well, maybe I start and then you correct me. But we usually describe the impact kind of in four areas. So on one hand, there is a public awareness. If you launch a really innovative project in Switzerland, I think that gets noticed. Second, you have an impact on the company or on the TX group as a whole. You do something really visionary, you are inspirational at times. Sometimes when it's difficult, you have to let go of people, and journalism going through a tough time. It's important to have those anchor projects that are really inspirational and bring kind of new energy. Three, I think it's really impactful for those participating, young and old, You get to learn from each other. We have really interesting discussions. And so for me, it's impactful, at least to me. And then obviously the one everyone thinks of at the beginning is at the product level. I think we are making progress trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, what kind of new ideas do we have, what could be implemented moving forward. But I would say those are about the 4 things I usually describe, but you go.
Yeah, well, you've mentioned already some really important points, which I definitely agree with you. Maybe on a product level, I think we as young people just move in a totally different way in this digital world we are all living in. So we have a totally different kind of social media usage. Like on a really bottom stage, we maybe prefer to swipe instead of scroll, but like on a higher level, or on a more complex level, it's also important for us that we have easy news, simple news, not because we don't want to have everything covered, we really do, but just because our lives, like in that stage, are really, really complex, and so we want to have it as easy and as nicely presented as possible.
What about you, Lena? What sort of input have you already given to Tagesanzeiger so that you feel more inclined to read it?
Wow.
Or other suggestions, What's been your contribution so far?
About a month ago, we got the chance to talk about the design of the app and the website of the Tagesanzeiger.
Cool.
And due to our consumption of media at such a young age, especially on social media, our generation is sensitized on imagery content and transferred to the headlines of articles which appear once you open the Tagesanzeiger app. This means that the images, if images are used, they have to strongly represent the main theme of the story they belong to. So something I had an eye on was that the main page had to be appealing, not over-flooded by pictures, but really broken down to a simple aesthetic. So I would prefer a big picture which does really imply a lot more than really many little small pictures. Yeah.
Is this, because I've been told you might bring secrets today. Is this one of the secrets about the app, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, one thing I can tell you, which was really interesting, is that we actually got the chance to design our own version of the Tagesanzeiger app. And there were many, many interesting ideas, like a constant bookmark, or that the page would be designed for the individual reader. And yeah, maybe that's something that will come in the future. We don't know.
But maybe just to add to that, essentially all secrets are structured around 3 themes. So we have 10 themes, so we have 10 different sessions going on. We are about halfway through. And so the secrets go from what are the actual information needs a young person has to the big topics that are a concern, to really how can you raise awareness for a Tagesanzeiger and get young people to pay, or their parents pay for the product. And so it's really structured along 10 different themes.
And so in these themes, Katharina and Sandra, what have you learned from the participants so far?
Yeah, we've learned a lot, and Jannik and Lena told about it as well. But to point maybe 3 learnings or insights out, we learned that the young people have to or are confronted with many complexities in their everyday lives. And so they are looking for content or services that help them deal with those complexities. And that's maybe a field we could jump in. And what is, for example, very welcome are small, funny explainer videos, or also personal testimonials from people who suffer from the same problems in their daily lives, for example. And also we learned that young people don't need more information. So if they Google long enough, they find everything they have to know. But what they need is a better overview, like a better orientation. And when it comes to orientation maybe on our news sites and apps we also could do better and, for example, curate or bundle articles from the different from the same topic. And also
they're looking for an editorial look at this massive information.
Exactly. Yeah. They also need people maybe who tell them, who are reliable and tell them what is important and what is not maybe. Yeah. And also we talked a lot about mental health, and we noticed that this is a topic which is very, very important, and we have to ask ourselves as a newspaper if we do or provide enough in this field. So anxiety, stress, toxic relationships, all these topics are very important in the life of a young person.
Okay. Jannik, you mentioned you're very interested in the media. Do you want to be a journalist? Is it your dream vision?
Well, maybe someday. I think it's a really, really interesting job. Maybe my actual dream job was just like sitting right there. So maybe one day I'm like,
hey, let's switch places.
But yeah, I think it's really, I mean, you can see it yourselves. You talk to so many different people all day long. Yeah, I think that's like a dream job to have, yeah.
We will see who is moderating next year.
Yeah, him for sure. Okay, well, it's good. At least you've warned me. So you want to be an interviewer. You want to have interesting conversation with a bunch of different people. So that would be your dream job. And what are your hopes and dreams for the media, for journalism? What would you like? How would you want to see this field? In which direction would you like this field to move into?
Yeah, well, first, I think just at that time, it's really important for journalists to, if they want to know what we want to see, like, just talk to us. We're no aliens, we're no babies, we're just, like, we're really here. You can talk to us, and not many people really are interested in young people. Most say just, yeah, well, grow up and then we'll look. So if you ask us, we're always happy to provide you with all the information you want. Maybe another thing that's important, like in this time, is don't try to get the news that you do, or the stories, or the content, so to say, that you do all the time, and just try to push it in our world, but maybe try to make something different for us. I know you're already doing that, and you're doing a great deal, and I just hope you're doing more of that. And maybe as last thing, for me, I don't want to live in a world where our generation one day will just get the news from the news pages on Instagram, because they can just cover whatever they want and whichever topics and sites they want. So they're very influential, but like this can also go into a bad direction. And so I really hope that you can reach our young generation, and I'm positive. I think we all together can do this challenge.
Okay. So you talked about the responsibility of a media company to produce content that maybe they wouldn't necessarily do. What do you think is the responsibilities of readers or users to also go and seek other opinions? For example, one of the things that I love to do is read newspapers from different political opinions as mine, because I think it keeps me fresh and engaged. What's your view on the topic? Do you think people should seek out? Do you think there are too many opinions to look after?
I think there are never enough opinions. I think you really should seek out, find other opinions, be open for everything. I mean, just in my generation, don't stay in your bubble, trying to just catch the news you're comfortable with, get out of the zone, and listen to everything you want and you like and you find, because maybe it doesn't mean that it influences you, but it definitely gives another eye on the topic, on the subject, and that's always a good idea.
Lena, you mentioned that you were not much of a reader before. Now
it depends on what topic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So newspaper reader. Actually, maybe we don't have to focus on newspaper, but how's your media consumption today? And maybe has it changed after going through this initiative?
Well, so I think it's really important to define what kind of media we are talking about. In the means of a newspaper or a magazine, it doesn't matter if printed or online, I try to increase my consumption as much as I can because I see it as a chance to educate myself, to be able to form an opinion. But in the means of the other sort of media, social media, for example, like Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and all these other platforms, I actually tried to decrease my consumption because it had a bad effect on me and my mental health. But I think it will only be a matter of time until I'll be back to using it. Because actually, if we ask ourselves in 10 years, maybe social media will be something that all of us, we have to be able to be kept up to date with all the things that are happening around the globe. So
maybe it will be inevitable to have it.
Maybe, yeah.
Katharina and Sandra, so we've gathered a lot of insights and you have, not just in this interview, but you've gathered insights from 30 different participants. And in view of these insights, what do you think what are the ways that TX Group as a company can help steer the future of media and maybe of young people in general? And don't fight to answer the question.
Well, first, I think you're already doing quite a lot. You have really visionary people at the top of this company that are willing to experiment, test out new projects, test out really innovative and creative things that are actually an experiment in some ways. You have the openness to listen and learn, which to me not every company has, and I work with many. And this is rare, so that's already a good step into the right direction. And you're not only thinking about how to improve your products and your business, obviously this at the end is also about making money and it's a business. But I think you have critical mass within the company that really wants to think about how to become a partner in all of these struggles and these big questions for the next generation. So it's not just about learning how you can build a better app or convince them to pay for a newspaper, but it's really kind of thinking longer term, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind to people like the two of them that will have to figure it out at some point themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think when we are talking about future, it's also very important that we don't isolate this project, this youth lab, and just have it for 4 months and then stop talking to young people or our users. It's very important to keep the dialogue alive, and we hope that the conversation, and I hope you will be happy to talk to us also after this project.
They're like, no, we're stopping now. That's it.
We're only halfway through.
We already have one returner, so you did something right.
Yep.
Excellent.
Some bribing involved.
Some more secrets. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us about the Tamedia Youth Initiative. This concludes our talk with 4 very young people. And stay tuned, because in 5 minutes we have our last super exciting talk. Do you love Zurich? I do. Do you love Switzerland and all the innovation that is going on in Zurich and maybe a little bit around? We're going to talk about the Zurich scene with a veteran from the scene who's seen it all since the beginning of the internet to today and has a lot of stories to tell. His name is Urs Bucher. We'll be back with him in 4 minutes at 4:30.